Imagine this. The year is 1988, and you've just heard your favorite NES game, Super Mario Bros., is finally getting a sequel. It's been about 3 years since Super Mario Bros. Was introduced into your life, so you're excited for the sequel, soon to be released in October. You get excited by all the commercials, and you finally see the box art for the game. Mario Madness, it says on the box art. So, when it's finally released on October 9th, 1988, you run to the store and buy a copy. You pop the cartridge into your NES, excited to stomp on some Goombas and save Princess Toadstool from King Koopa. You turn on your TV and NES and delve into this so-called Mario Madness. Look, there's the first enemy. It's not a Goomba, but hey, let's stomp on its head and defeat it anyway. Wait. What is this?
What is this?
Hey guys, Astral Antonio here, and today we're going to be looking back at the black sheep of the Super Mario Bros. Series, Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES. There is a reason that Super Mario Bros. 2 is so much different from Super Mario Bros., and subsequently every mainline Mario game to come afterwards. That's because it was initially released in Japan as a completely different game called Doki Doki Panic. Released a year prior in Japan on July 10th, 1987, Doki Doki Panic was released as a partnership between Nintendo and Fuji Television to promote Fuji Television's Dream Factory 87 event. The purpose of this event was to show off some of Fuji TV's new TV shows and products. Doki Doki Panic's main characters were actually some of the mascots of Fuji Television: Lena, Imagine, Papa, and Mama. But what the heck does this have to do with Super Mario Bros., I hear you asking? Well, if you just wait a second, I'll tell you. You see, in Japan, they had already gotten their Super Mario Bros. 2, way before we did, in fact. The Japanese version of Mario 2 was released all the way back in 1986 for the Famicom Disk System. If you take a look at some of the gameplay, you'll see it looks strikingly similar to the first Super Mario Bros. Game. In fact, it looks exactly like it. It uses the same sprites and enemies as Super Mario Bros. The Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 wasn't exactly like the first game, however. It added new obstacles, like the purple poison mushrooms that would actually harm Mario if he collected them, and the warp pipes that could actually take you further back into the level, hindering your progress. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, when Super Mario Bros. 2 was released in Japan, a lot of reviewers reviewed the game as more of an add-on to the first game and not much of a sequel. This is one of the reasons why the real Super Mario Bros. 2 was never released in North America. However, the main reason is a little bit more insulting. Japan's version of Super Mario Bros. 2 was a bit harder than Super Mario Bros. 1. In fact, Nintendo thought it would be too hard for Western audiences to enjoy, so they didn't want to release it over here. But what does this have to do with Doki Doki Panic? I hear you chiming in again. Well, Nintendo didn't want to release Super Mario Bros. 2 in the West, and they had this other game, Doki Doki Panic, that they pretty much only used to help Fuji Television for a promotion, and they came up with a brilliant plan. Why don't we just reskin Doki Doki Panic with Super Mario Bros. Characters? So, that's what they did. So, now that we know why Super Mario Bros. 2 was so different, let's look at how they morphed Doki Doki Panic into Super Mario Bros. 2. They didn't really change much, in fact. They pretty much just changed the sprites for all the main characters. Lena, Imagine, Papa, and Mama were replaced with the familiar faces of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. And much like in Doki Doki Panic, this gives you 4 different characters that you can play as. Each character has different stats and traits that will help you throughout your journey. Mario being all around good at everything, Luigi having an advantage at jumping, Peach being able to use her dress to hover for a bit, and Toad being the fastest running character to play as. This time around, Mario and friends must save the dreamland known as Subcon from the evil frog wizard known as Wart. Along the way, Mario must use radishes to defeat enemies rather than just jumping on their heads, avoiding this nightmare-inducing floating mask that hates when you pick up keys, defeating bosses, and collecting red coins for use in a slot machine minigame after beating a level. There are still some recognizable power-ups you can find throughout Super Mario Bros. 2 despite being so different from the first Super Mario Bros. And there are some recognizable things making a return from the first game, such as the Super Mushroom, the Superstar, and Koopa Shells. However, they don't behave as they did in Super Mario 1. The mushroom still makes Mario grow in size. However, if Mario is already big, it can raise his health, giving him more than one hit before turning back into small Mario. The Superstar is only obtainable if you collect enough hearts. and when you do, it floats from the bottom to the top of the screen, so it's possible to miss it if you're not quick enough. When collected though, it still does the same thing it did in Super Mario 1, making Mario invincible for a short time. The Koopa shell probably changed the most out of these returning items, as instead of jumping on a Koopa and then kicking the Koopa shell, this time you have to pick it up and throw it, sort of like everything else in this game. Despite Super Mario Bros. 2 being so different from the rest of the Mario series, its gameplay is actually really fun, and I highly recommend that you check it out if you haven't played it before. Super Mario Bros. 2 has left a lasting impact on the Super Mario Bros. Series, and a good impact at that. Without Super Mario Bros. 2, the Mario games may not have some of its iconic characters, like Shy Guys, Bob-ombs, and even Birdo. When it was initially released, Super Mario Bros. 2 was the highest selling video game for 14 months consecutively, and by early 1990, it had sold over 3.5 million copies in the US alone, and 7.46 million worldwide. It was highly praised by critics at the time, and people still love it to this day. It was so popular, in fact, that it was even released later in Japan, being known as Super Mario Bros. USA. And we did eventually get to play the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 as well, being known in the States as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad still have their traits from Super Mario Bros. 2 in newer releases, such as Super Mario 3D World. Super Mario Bros. 2 even got a remake on the Game Boy Advance that personally is my favorite version of the game. Overall, without Super Mario Bros. 2, the franchise would be very different today. And maybe it's a good thing that Nintendo initially didn't want to release the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 in the States. I guess sometimes being different is good after all. Hey everyone, Astral Antonio here. I hope you enjoyed this video about Super Mario Bros. 2. It was kind of a sequel to the Super Mario Bros. History video I did a while back, and kind of a revamp of the looking back at videos I did about 9 months ago before I stopped posting. But anyways, if you liked the video, please give it a like, and it would really mean a lot to me if you subscribed. I'm going to be posting here twice a week. Usually I'll be posting on Sunday or Monday, and also on Thursday or Friday, and I'd love to have you along for the journey. I'm going to recommend another 2 videos this time around. The first video being my first iceberg video that I posted a while back on Super Mario 64, and the second video that I'm going to recommend is my video on Super Mario Bros. History. The next video that I have planned to post is another Grand Theft Auto tips and tricks video, but this time I'm going to do it on Grand Theft Auto 3 rather than on San Andreas. Anyways, that's about all I have to say. This has been Astral Antonio. Stay tuned. Thanks.